Can I ask you something? How many nights have you spent awake going over those hurtful words in your head? How many times have you found yourself clenching your fists, feeling that anger bubbling up because someone pushed you too far? It's draining, right? Carrying the weight of someone else's actions, letting their negativity mess with your peace. But I want you to know it doesn't have to be like this. Listen closely. Your peace is your strength. When you give that strength away to someone else, when you let their words and actions get to you, their disrespect really gets under your skin and you end up trapped in their chaos. But you weren't meant to be a prisoner. You were meant to rise above it. Your peace is your strength. Don't let anyone take it away. It might sound easy, but it's the key to changing how you handle life. Think about it. Peace isn't something you just find by accident. It's not something others give you or something that just happens during quiet moments. Real peace is something you grow inside yourself and something you need to guard. You're fiercely protective of your peace because it shapes the quality of your life. But here's the thing. Too often, we give it away without even noticing. Someone says something mean, and we let it ruin our whole day. A stranger cuts us off in traffic, and suddenly we're filled with rage. A coworker disrespects us, and we keep replaying it in our heads like it's an open wound. When we do this, we're basically saying, "Here, take my peace. You control my emotions. You can't let that happen." Peace is your most valuable asset, more important than money, stuff, or status. Without it, none of that matters. Peace gives you clarity, strength, and the ability to respond to life instead of just reacting to it. But we give it away so easily, like it's not worth protecting. Why? Because we've been conditioned to think that other people control how we feel. We say things like, "They made me angry," or "They upset me," but that's not true. No one can make you feel anything. If you don't give them the okay, their actions or words might stir something in you, but it's up to you whether to hold on to that feeling and let it grow. That's where your power is. When you really get this, everything shifts. You realize that peace isn't about dodging conflict or hiding away where nothing bad happens. It's about staying true to yourself no matter how crazy things get around you. It's about understanding that just because there's a storm outside doesn't mean you have to let it create a storm inside you. Imagine you're holding a glass of water while walking through a packed room and someone bumps into you, causing the water to spill. Most people would say the water spilled because someone bumped into them, but the truth is, it spilled because the glass was already full. Similarly, when someone's actions disrupt your peace, it's not just about what they did, it's also about what you were already dealing with inside. If you're full of anger, frustration, or insecurity, even the smallest nudge from someone else can make those feelings overflow. If you've got a lot of feelings to let out, but you're full of peace, then no matter how hard someone tries to shake you up, they won't find anything to mess with. That's why keeping your peace starts from the inside. It's all about knowing yourself, understanding what sets you off, and deciding not to let anyone control you like that. It doesn't mean you have to ignore disrespect or let people take advantage of you. Setting boundaries is super important for keeping your peace. When you're clear about what you will and won't put up with, it doesn't make you rude or anything. Standing up for yourself shows the world that your peace is non-negotiable. But just setting boundaries isn't enough. You also need to learn to let go of the little things. Not everything that ticks you off deserves your energy, and you don't have to respond to every rude comment. When you get caught up in negativity, you give it power. If you dwell on it, it just gets bigger. Instead, try to let it go, Like a leaf drifting down a stream, it won't bother you anymore. This takes practice. It's not easy. Stay cool when someone's trying to get a rise out of you. Every time you decide not to react, you're boosting your ability to keep your peace. I see it like working out. The more you practice, the stronger you get. Over time, you'll notice that things that used to get under your skin hardly bother you anymore. Plus, those chaos makers will stop coming after you because they're looking for a reaction, and when you don't give them one, they move on. Their power relies on you playing along. When you let go of that, they can't control you anymore. That's why peace is your strongest power. It's rock solid. It lets you go through life with confidence, knowing that no one else can mess with your feelings. It gives you room to focus on what really matters instead of getting wrapped up in all the drama and distractions out there. It's the base for everything you want to create in your life, your relationships, your goals, your happiness. But it's not just about keeping your peace safe from others, it's more than that. It's also about protecting your peace from yourself. How often do we let our own thoughts mess with our calm? We overthink, get stuck in the past, and stress about the future. That inner chaos can be just as harmful as any outside drama. Learning to calm your mind and let go of what you can't control is just as crucial as setting boundaries with others. Your peace is your strength. Don't hand it over. Let that idea sink in. Peace isn't just a feeling, it's your solid ground. It's what keeps you steady. You can tackle life's challenges, choices, and uncertainties with clarity and strength. But too often, we underestimate its value and let it slip away at the first hint of conflict or disrespect. Why do we do this? Why let someone's bad mood, sharp tongue, or thoughtless actions control how we feel? It's because we've been conditioned to react. We live in a world that sees reacting as a sign of strength, as standing up for ourselves. But reacting isn't real strength, it's vulnerability. True strength is about staying calm. Stay chill when people try to get under your skin. Keep your peace even when everything around you is chaotic. Remember, your peace is yours, and nobody can mess with it unless you let them. It's not theirs to take. But as soon as you let someone's negativity into your head or heart, you're giving them power they don't deserve. You let them shape how you see yourself, others, and how you navigate life. It's time to take that power back, and it starts with you. Next time someone tries to get under your skin, take a moment and think, why am I letting them mess with my feelings? Most of the time, what people say or do is about them, not you. They're dealing with their own issues that you can't see. When you respond with anger or frustration, you're letting their problems become yours. But there's a better approach. Instead of fighting back with negativity, just stay calm. Stay calm in the chaos. Remember, your peace is yours to guard, not theirs to mess with. That doesn't mean you put up with disrespect or turn a blind eye to injustice. It just means you pick your battles wisely. Not everything needs your energy or deserves your focus. You've got to realize what it costs you to lose your peace. Every time someone gets under your skin, you're giving away your time, clarity, and emotional health. And for what? To make a point or protect your pride? Those are short-lived wins that leave long-lasting marks. On the flip side, when you pick peace, you're picking freedom. You're choosing to rise above all the chaos and focus on what really counts. It's not a walk in the park. It takes discipline, patience, and being aware of yourself. But the benefits are huge. When you cling to your peace, you make room for growth, love, and purpose. You're no longer at the mercy of what others do or think. You're in charge of your life, your feelings, and your future. This control also shapes how you treat yourself. Peace isn't just about. It's not just about how you interact with others. It's also about how you talk to yourself. The way you think and the stories you tell yourself can really affect your peace of mind. If you're always putting yourself down, worrying about the past, or fretting about the future, you're stealing your own peace. Finding peace means forgiving. Not just others, but yourself too. Let go of the times you let anger get the best of you and forgive yourself for when you gave away your power. Then, make a choice right now. Now, it's time to really hold on to your peace like it's a precious treasure. When you protect your peace, you're also protecting your purpose. You're freeing yourself from distractions, negativity, and the burden of things you can't control. In that freedom, you'll discover a strength you never knew you had. The kind of strength that makes you unstoppable. It's the kind of strength that lets you face the world without fear, anger, or doubt. Remember, silence can be more powerful than any reaction, even if that sounds a bit strange in today's world. A lot of people think they have to react and defend themselves every time someone throws a jab or insults them. But real silence isn't weakness. It's actually powerful. It's about choosing not to get dragged into someone else's drama. Silence can protect you and can also be used as a tool. When someone tries to get a rise out of you, they're just looking for a reaction, wanting to validate their own negativity. They want to see if they can mess with your peace and throw you off your game. Every time you respond out of anger or frustration, even when you're just trying to defend yourself, you're giving them what they want. Your reaction feeds their power, confirms their control, and keeps you stuck in their energy. But silence, that's what disarms them. Not responding takes away their satisfaction and makes them question themselves instead of ramping up their attacks. When you stay silent, you're sending a message that's way louder than any words. I see what you're doing, but I'm not getting involved. You can't get to me because I won't engage in the heat of the moment. Staying silent can feel really weird. Your instincts are telling you to fight back, to explain yourself, to make your point heard. But what does reacting really do? Does yelling back change anyone's mind? Does trying to defend yourself to someone who just won't get it suddenly help them understand your side? Most of the time, getting heated just makes things worse, dragging you deeper into conflict and taking you further away from feeling calm. On the flip side, being quiet helps you stay in control and keeps you from losing your cool. Getting caught up in pointless drama or wasting your energy on someone who doesn't deserve it gives you a chance to think, process things, and decide how or if you want to respond. Not every jab needs your attention, and sometimes staying quiet is your way of saying, "This isn't worth my time." There's a common misunderstanding that being silent is being weak, like you're letting someone push you around. But silence isn't about giving in. It's actually a sign of strength. It's knowing when it's better not to respond because your words won't change anything. The difference is that getting involved will just wear you out. Silence isn't just doing nothing. It's a strong, intentional choice. In fact, being quiet can actually turn the power in your favor. When someone is waiting for a reaction from you and you don't give them one, they're stuck with their own thoughts. They have to face the emptiness where your reply should be. That emptiness can be uncomfortable, making them think about how they've acted. Your silence acts like a mirror, reflecting back their own anger. Insecurity or negativity can hit you without you even saying a word. But silence isn't just about handling other people. It's also crucial for how you handle yourself. Too often, we let our own thoughts get to us. We replay arguments in our heads, think about what we should have said, and stress over what might happen next. This internal chatter can be just as damaging as fights with others. Practicing silence means training your mind to calm down and not feed into your own negativity. It's not easy, though. It takes work. It's all about having the self-control to keep your mouth shut when someone's getting on your nerves. It takes a lot of patience to not just explode and a good amount of strength to sit with your feelings without letting them take the wheel. But the more you practice staying quiet, the easier it gets. You start to realize how powerful it is and how clear-headed you feel. You'll notice how much lighter you are when you're not just reacting to everything happening around you. Plus, there's another thing about silence. It helps you keep your dignity. When you lash out in anger or frustration, you often end up saying things you regret. Sometimes we say things we don't really mean and end up regretting them. Taking a moment of silence gives you the chance to avoid those slip-ups. It helps you stay true to yourself and respond calmly instead of just reacting on impulse. Silence also acts as a boundary. It's a way of saying, "I won't let you drag me into your negativity." It's about not playing their games, and by doing that, you regain control. You choose how and whether you want to engage. You set the rules, not them. The great thing about silence is that it says a lot without needing words. You don't need an explanation or justification for this, it just is. It's about being present and strong and deciding to rise above all the noise. When you choose silence, you're choosing to protect your energy, guard your peace, and hold on to your power. Silence is way more powerful than any reaction because it carries a weight that words often can't match. It's not about not saying anything. It's about being intentional and strong in withholding your energy, emotions, and focus from those who want to mess with your peace, especially since words can easily be twisted. Misunderstood or manipulated silence stands strong as a testament to your strength and self-control. When you choose to stay silent, you're sending a message to yourself first. You're reminding yourself that you're in charge, that your feelings are yours alone, and your reactions are completely up to you. It's like declaring your independence from the chaos around you. By not reacting, you reclaim your power and reinforce the boundaries that protect your inner peace. Silence can also hold deep meaning. Teaching is all about patience, especially when your feelings are all over the place. It helps you take a step back and figure out what really matters before making a move. Silence slows everything down in our fast-paced, reactive world and creates room for clarity. In the heat of conflict, silence can change the vibe. It can cool things down and take the wind out of the sails of those who love to provoke. When you respond with silence, it takes away their power to control the situation. Makes them face their own discomfort, their own words, and their own actions. It shifts the focus from you back to them. At the same time, silence helps you grow. It builds emotional discipline, strengthens your self-awareness, and fosters resilience. It teaches you to process your emotions without letting them take over. Over time, this practice becomes second nature. You start to realize that not every insult needs a response, and not every opinion requires you to argue back. Not every argument needs you to jump in. Sometimes, staying quiet is a way to show self-respect. When you don't respond to someone trying to provoke you, you're not stooping to their level. You're holding on to your dignity and self-worth. It's a way to take care of yourself and protect the person you're growing into from all the negativity trying to drag you down. This kind of silence doesn't mean you're ignoring issues or ducking responsibility. It's about knowing when to speak up. Fighting smart and choosing to stay quiet instead of reacting on impulse gives you a chance to figure out if something is really worth your energy, or if it's better to just let it go. Then there's the type of silence that opens up space, not just for you, but for others too. When you don't react, it lets people think, rethink, and sometimes even grow. In this way, silence is a gift. It shows others that their words and actions are on them, not you. It's up to you to deal with it or stand up for yourself. Real silence takes some inner work. You've got to face the unease that comes when you don't say anything. You need to sit with your feelings, look at what sets you off, and fight the urge to defend yourself. But it's in that discomfort where real change happens. You start to see that your value isn't based on what others think of you, and you understand that your energy is too valuable to waste on pointless arguments. Plus, being quiet helps you connect better with your purpose when you're not always caught up in the noise. When you're distracted by all the noise around you, it's easier to focus on what really matters. You can put your energy into your goals, your relationships, and your personal growth instead of wasting it on negativity. That's why silence is more powerful than any reaction. It sets you free. It helps you break the habit of overreacting and over-explaining. It lets you rise above the chaos and live according to your values. It keeps your power where it should be, right in your hands. And that power, when rooted in silence, becomes something strong. Your emotions are totally yours to control. It sounds simple, but it's really deep. No one can make you feel a certain way unless you let them. But too often, we slip into the habit of blaming others for how we react. We say things like, "They made me mad," or "They hurt my feelings," as if our emotions depend entirely on what others do. The truth is, we have the power over our own feelings, and taking responsibility for that is one of the most freeing lessons you can learn. Just think about it. Every emotion you feel is in your hands. It all starts from within you. It's not something someone else puts in you. It's something you create based on your surroundings, your situation, or your interactions. The real power comes from realizing that this process is under your control. You might not be able to control what happens to you, but you can definitely control how you respond. That response can either keep you at peace or let someone else's actions drag you into chaos. A lot of people go through life just reacting on impulse, letting outside events dictate their feelings. If someone's rude to them, they feel offended. If someone disagrees, they feel attacked. And if someone lets them down, they feel betrayed. These reactions might seem automatic, but they're not set in stone. They're choices, even if they happen without you thinking about it. Once you get this, you open up a whole new level of freedom. You start to realize that no one can make you feel anything without your permission. Taking charge of your emotions begins with being aware and taking a moment to pause. In the heat of the moment, take a step back and ask yourself why you're feeling this way. Is it because of what they said or did, or is it more about how you're seeing their actions? A lot of the time, our emotional reactions are less about the event itself and more about the meaning we give it. For instance, if someone criticizes you, you might feel angry because you see their words as a personal attack. But what if their criticism has nothing to do with you? What if it's really just a reflection of their own insecurities or frustrations? When you start to separate your emotions from what's happening around you, you really start to take back your power. You realize you don't have to react to every little thing, every jab, every disappointment. You can choose to stay calm, see the situation clearly, and respond in a way that fits with your values and keeps you at peace. It doesn't mean you're ignoring your feelings or acting like you don't feel anything. It's about recognizing your emotions without letting them take charge. Emotional mastery takes practice. It's not something you get overnight, and it's not always a walk in the park. There will be times when your feelings feel like they're taking over, when anger, sadness, or frustration hit hard. In those moments, remind yourself that you can choose how to react. Take a deep breath, step back, and give yourself a little room to process things before you respond. Even a quick pause can really change everything. One of the best ways to manage your emotions is by shifting your focus. When someone does something that annoys you, your first instinct might be to fixate on what they did. You replay the moment in your head, think about what you could have said or done differently, and let the negativity fester. But what if, instead of zeroing in on them, you looked inward? What if you asked yourself why it bothers you so much? What does this reaction reveal about you, your expectations, or your triggers? This kind of self-reflection isn't about blaming yourself, it's about getting to know yourself better. Realizing that your feelings are your own responsibility, not anyone else's, is key. It's about letting go of the need to control others and instead focusing on what you can control: your thoughts, your perspective, and how you react. Letting go of relying on others for your emotions doesn't mean you don't care. It shows strength. It means you're not letting someone else's behavior determine your happiness, peace, or self-worth. You're choosing to live life on your own terms, guided by your own values. Instead of being constantly pulled in different directions by those around you, remember that it's important not to ignore your feelings or brush off how others' actions affect you. Your emotions and experiences are valid. However, clinging to negative feelings only ends up hurting you. By taking responsibility for how you feel, you can break free from anger, resentment, or pain and find some peace, no matter what's going on around you. This journey takes a bit of self-kindness, and there will be ups and downs along the way. When you mess up, react without thinking, or feel swamped, that's totally fine. Growth isn't a one-time thing, it's a journey. Every time you take a moment to think and choose a different way to respond, you're strengthening your emotional resilience. You're learning that you're not just a victim of what happens to you. You're in charge of your own experience. Your emotions belong to you, and owning them gives you a ton of power. When you take control of how you feel, you stop letting others dictate your life, and you become the one in charge. You're in charge of your own peace, happiness, and life. That's the real foundation of strength, freedom, and fulfillment. Your emotions are yours to manage, and the more you dig into this, the clearer it gets. Every feeling you have comes from within you, shaped by what you believe, what you expect, and how you see the world. No one can just put feelings in your heart. They can act and talk, but it's all about how you respond. They can try to provoke you, but how you handle their words and actions is totally up to you. Once you really get this idea, it changes how you view every interaction. Instead of feeling like you're just along for the ride in your own emotional life, getting tossed around by what others say and do, you take control. You begin to understand that peace isn't something you find out there, it's something you create within yourself. The more you work on this, the better you get at holding on to that peace. What usually keeps us stuck is emotional ups and downs come from the way we cling to certain expectations. We want people to treat us nicely, agree with us, and respect our boundaries. When those expectations aren't met, we end up feeling angry, disappointed, or frustrated. But what if you changed your focus? Instead of expecting others to act a certain way, what if you focused on how you respond? When you stop counting on others to meet your emotional needs, you set yourself free. Freeing yourself from a heavy load means you stop seeking approval from those who won't give it. You stop waiting for apologies that might never happen, and stop getting upset by people who don't even notice or care about how they affect you. Instead, you take charge of your own happiness and peace where they truly belong. This doesn't mean you put up with disrespect or let people walk all over you. Owning your emotions doesn't mean making excuses for bad behavior. In fact, it gives you strength. Set boundaries and stick to them firmly but calmly. When you realize that someone else's behavior doesn't dictate how you feel, you can tackle conflicts with a clear head and calm heart. You can say no without feeling guilty, walk away without getting angry, and stand up for yourself without losing your cool. Learning to manage your emotions also means changing the way you think. Too often, we let our minds spin stories that feed our negativity. If someone criticizes us, we might jump to the conclusion that they don't respect us. They're trying to mess with me. These thoughts just make our anger and pain worse. But what if you flipped the script? What if you asked yourself what else it could mean? Maybe their criticism comes from their own issues, and it really has nothing to do with you. By changing how you think, you get a clearer view. You start to see that most people's actions are more about their own struggles than a judgment on you. This way of thinking doesn't make bad behavior okay, but it helps you not take it to heart so much. You start to see that you don't have to let it affect you. You don't have to bear the burden of someone else's negativity. Learning to control your emotions means you also need to let go of the past. Clinging to grudges or going over old fights just keeps you trapped in pain. Every time you think back to those moments, you're reliving those feelings. But you can change that. You have the choice to let it go, not for them, but for yourself. Forgiveness isn't about saying what they did was okay. It's about freeing yourself from their grip. Dealing with your feelings takes time and being aware of yourself. You've got to watch your own thoughts, catching those negative ones when they pop up and gently steering them in a better direction. It's not about pushing your feelings down or acting like everything's okay. It's about recognizing what you're feeling without letting it control you. You have to realize you're more than just your emotions. You're the one in charge of how you respond to them. When you own your feelings, you become steady and strong, and you'll start to see that no. Don't let insults or rejection define you. They might hurt for a bit, but they can't touch the peace you've created inside. You start to believe in your own strength, knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you. This journey is tough and doesn't happen overnight, but with every step, you'll feel yourself getting stronger, calmer, and more grounded. You'll realize how much lighter life feels when you stop carrying around all that anger and frustration. When you let go of anger or resentment, you'll realize that you have the power to control your emotions, and no one can take that away from you. Not every fight is worth having. It takes time and wisdom to really get this, but once you do, it changes how you interact with the world. Life is full of challenges and times when people will push your buttons, testing your patience and your sense of who you are. The natural reaction might be to fight back and defend yourself. Show your value, but let's be real. Some situations just aren't worth your energy, and not every fight is worth your time. There's strength in knowing when to pick your battles. A lot of conflicts come from misunderstandings, insecurities, or people just needing to take their frustrations out on someone else. Trying to fight every single one of these battles is like chasing after every breeze. It's draining and doesn't really get you anywhere. The first step is understanding this means knowing what your priorities are, what really matters to you, what values, goals, and relationships do you cherish. Once you have clarity about what you believe in and what you're working towards, it's easier to see which conflicts align with those values and which don't. Fighting every battle often distracts you from the life you're trying to create. It spreads your focus thin and drains your emotional energy, leaving you with less for the things that truly count. Choosing not to fight isn't a weakness. Walking away isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. It takes guts to step back when your pride's on the line, especially after someone insults you or when you want to clear things up. But remember, your dignity doesn't come from what others think. It comes from rising above the negativity. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices, and you don't have to justify everything you believe. Sometimes staying quiet speaks volumes more than saying something. It's also crucial to recognize that. A lot of the time, when we feel the need to argue, it comes from our ego, wanting to be right, to be noticed, or to prove ourselves. But when you let go of that ego, you see things differently. You start to understand that winning a fight or making a point doesn't really bring happiness. What really matters is keeping your peace and sticking to your values. Walking away from a disagreement doesn't mean you don't care or that you're giving up. It just means you're choosing to focus on what really matters. What really matters is asking yourself if this is worth your energy. Will it matter in a week, a month, or a year? Am I sticking to my principles or just reacting out of emotion? These questions help you take a step back and see the bigger picture. It's also wise to understand where others are coming from. A lot of people start fights not because they want a solution, but because they're looking for validation of their own struggles. They want to drag you into their chaos because it gives them a brief sense of relief. When you realize this, you see that getting involved with them usually just keeps the negativity going. Instead of getting caught up in their chaos, you can choose to stay grounded. This doesn't mean you should dodge conflict completely. There are fights that are worth having, like when it comes to protecting your boundaries, standing up for your loved ones, or sticking to your principles. But even then, how you handle those fights is important. Dealing with things calmly and clearly usually gets better results than just reacting with anger or hostility when you choose your battles. Make sure you use your energy on things that really matter to you and help you grow. Part of not getting into every fight is realizing you don't always need closure. Not every disagreement is going to end with both sides understanding each other, and not every argument will get resolved. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is accept that you might never get an apology, an explanation, or what feels fair, and that's perfectly fine. Closure isn't something someone else can give you. You create your own path by picking your battles, making room in your life for what really matters. You save your energy for the things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and purpose. You get better at staying calm and grounded, even when things get heated. Over time, this becomes second nature, and you start interacting with the world more thoughtfully and meaningfully. But remember, this change in mindset doesn't come instantly. It takes time and patience. Being self-aware and committed to your own peace is key. As you get better at figuring out which battles are worth your time, you'll notice the benefits. Your mind will feel clearer, your emotions steadier, and your life will align more with what really matters. You'll start to see that your worth isn't based on how many fights you win, but on how wisely you choose to use your energy. Not every fight needs to be fought, and really grasping this idea takes maturity and self-control. The world around you is. Life is full of chances for conflict, little jabs, misunderstandings, different viewpoints, and even flat-out attacks on who you are or what you believe. It can feel natural to jump into these situations because society often thinks that standing your ground shows strength. But what if real strength is knowing when to walk away? Choosing not to fight every battle doesn't mean you're being weak. It means you're being intentional about where you put your energy. Emotional energy is a big deal, and choosing how to handle it is one of the most empowering decisions you can make. Life will always throw stuff at you that tests your patience and gets under your skin, but not every situation needs a reaction. If you take a step back and look at things calmly, you can take charge of your emotions and how you respond, and that kind of control is like a superpower. A lot of people feel like they have to fight every battle because they're scared of looking weak or worried about what others might think if they don't stand up for themselves or if they just let it go. Sometimes things can really weigh on your mind, but what others think of you is their problem, not yours. Real strength isn't about showing off to others, it's about understanding your own value and not letting outside opinions control what you do. Walking away isn't being weak, it's being smart. Another important part of picking your battles is mastering emotional detachment. This doesn't mean you stop caring or become cold to everything. It means you learn to separate your feelings from what's happening around you. Staying calm, despite what others do, helps you step back and see things clearly without getting caught up in drama. It lets you take a moment to think and figure out if getting involved is worth it. Sometimes, just walking away from a fight is the strongest move you can make. It shows that you won't let negativity get to you, and that you care too much about your time and energy to waste them on petty stuff. It's not about letting others come out on top. It's about not losing yourself in the process. Sometimes, conflicts are just traps meant to drag you into chaos and wear you out. If you recognize this, you can avoid unnecessary drama and focus on what really matters. Letting go of these battles also means getting a grip on your ego. Your ego usually wants to be right, to get recognition, and to have the final say. But feeding your ego hardly ever leads to real happiness. Instead, it just keeps you stuck in a loop of conflict and dissatisfaction. When you let go of the need to prove yourself, you feel free. You start to understand that your worth isn't based on the outcome of every argument. Your value is something you have no matter what others think or do. This doesn't mean you'll dodge every conflict or back down when you need to stand your ground. There will be times when you need to push back, speak up, or set boundaries. But even then, you can handle things with purpose and clarity instead of just reacting without thinking. You respond in a way that fits your beliefs, making sure your actions match your principles. It keeps you calm and earns you respect. How you see yourself really shapes how you deal with the world. Your self-worth, confidence, and ability to bounce back are all tied to how you value yourself. It's not about what others think or how society labels you. Your emotional stability comes from knowing who you are, what you believe in, and trusting that you're enough just the way you are. When you hold on to this mindset, confidence means not letting anyone else's actions or opinions get to you. Too often, we get triggered by what others say or do because we let their behavior determine how we feel about ourselves. Someone insults you, ignores you, or disrespects you, and suddenly you're questioning yourself. Did I say something wrong? Did I deserve this? Did I do something to make them treat me like this? This kind of thinking leaves us open to anger, frustration, and hurt. But what if you stopped depending on what others think? Think about your value for a second. What if you realize that your worth doesn't come from how others treat you, but from how much you believe in yourself? Your confidence shows how much you love yourself. The more you embrace who you are, imperfections and all, the less you'll care about what others think. Confidence isn't about being cocky, it's about accepting yourself. It's understanding that you deserve love, respect, and kindness, no matter how people act towards you. Walk into a room with the kind of confidence you have, that calm strength that nothing can shake. This inner power gets even stronger when you understand that what people think of you usually says more about them than it does about you. The way people act often shows their own insecurities, fears, and challenges. So when someone is rude or brushes you off, it's hardly ever about you. It's about what they're dealing with and how they're choosing to show it. Knowing this helps you let go of their negativity. Don't let what others say or do get to you. It's not personal. When you value yourself, you can set boundaries without worrying about being rejected or having to fight. When you know you deserve respect, you can stand your ground, share what you need, and say no without feeling guilty. Believing in yourself gives you a security that nobody can shake. You won't feel like you need to explain yourself, justify what you do, or look for approval from others. You just live your truth. The truth is, having confidence is important, but how do you actually build it? It all starts with being kind to yourself. A lot of us are quick to show kindness and forgiveness to others, but we often forget to do the same for ourselves. We tend to fixate on our flaws, our mistakes, and what we think we're bad at. But real confidence comes from loving yourself, which means accepting your imperfections and realizing they don't determine your value. Take a little time each day to remind yourself of your worth, recognize your strengths, and appreciate who you are. Celebrate the little wins, those times when you walk away from something toxic, stand up for yourself, or put your well-being first instead of worrying about what others think. Confidence doesn't just happen overnight, it's something you build over time. The more you recognize your own value, the more it becomes part of who you are. A big part of believing in yourself is ditching the comparisons. We're always being pushed to measure ourselves against others, whether it's about jobs, relationships, or anything else. Comparing yourself to others can really mess with your peace of mind and make you doubt yourself. Everyone's got their own unique journey, and yours doesn't have to look like anyone else's. When you concentrate on your own progress, goals, and growth, you stop judging your worth by someone else's yardstick. Plus, there's real strength in knowing your values and sticking to them. When you're clear about what you believe in, you don't have to second-guess your choices or worry if you're on the right track. Your values guide you. Your values act like a compass during uncertain times. They empower you to say no when something doesn't match your beliefs and give you the guts to stand up for what's right. Knowing your values boosts your confidence because you stop feeling the need to fit in or seek approval from people who don't get or respect what you believe. Building self-confidence means embracing discomfort and pushing through fear. Your confidence grows when you tackle challenges and keep going. Keep pushing forward even when you're unsure and things get tough. Every time you push yourself out of your comfort zone, you show yourself just how strong and tough you really are. All those experiences help you build a solid trust in yourself. You start to realize that no matter what life throws at you, you've got the strength to tackle it. This kind of confidence won't make you unstoppable, but it will make you steady. You'll still face challenges, but they won't define who you are. You'll run into people who try to tear you down, but their words won't get to you. When you believe in yourself, nobody can control your spirit. You're free to move through life with grace and resilience, knowing your worth doesn't depend on what others think. The more you accept this, the more you'll see that the only approval you really need is your own. Building solid self-confidence takes time. It's all about recognizing your value and understanding your worth. It's not about dodging tough times or challenges, but facing them with inner strength and self-assurance. The more you practice believing in yourself, the easier it gets to handle the tough times life throws at you. When your confidence is built on solid self-love and acceptance, outside situations have less impact on your emotional state. When you see your own worth, you stop fearing what others think or say. People might have their opinions about you, but those opinions don't define you. In the past, you might have let what others said control you. Your emotional state matters, but now you see that what others think comes from their own experiences, biases, and insecurities. What they say or do is really about them, not you. The more you get this, the more you let go of needing validation from outside. This freedom doesn't mean you stop caring about feedback or what others think. It just means you don't base your self-worth on their approval or disapproval. You start to feel secure in your own value, and that lets you take feedback gracefully and wisely without letting it get to you. Constructive criticism can help you improve, but it doesn't define your value as a person. When you know who you are, no outside opinion can shake you. The urge to always be right is one of the most harmful things in relationships and your own peace of mind. That constant need to prove you're correct, get the last word, or make sure others see things your way often backfires. This need to feel superior and in control isn't really about seeking truth or understanding. It's more about needing validation, but that constant craving just ends up causing more frustration, isolation, and unhappiness. When you're always focused on being right, you fill your life with arguments, misunderstandings, and emotional chaos. You stop being able to see things from other people's viewpoints and just hold on to your own opinions like they're the only ones that matter. Honestly, this not only messes up your relationships with others, but also causes stress inside, making it tough to find peace. The need to be right usually comes from feeling inadequate. When we're insecure or unsure about ourselves, we look for outside approval to feel good. Being right seems like a way to boost our self-esteem and shield our ego. But this craving for validation can keep you stuck in a loop of conflict. The more you try to prove you're right, the more you get caught up in it. You get caught up in the insecurities you're trying to avoid, creating this endless cycle where your self-worth hinges on being right. You keep chasing validation from others to fill that gap of self-doubt. But what if you could escape this cycle? What if being right didn't matter as much anymore? The reality is that true peace of mind comes from letting go of the need to always be right. When you realize that being correct isn't the end-all, you allow yourself to connect on a deeper level. You can have conversations without needing to win or be in charge. Instead of worrying about being right, you start to focus on learning, understanding, and growing. You realize that what really matters in a conversation is listening, sharing, and exchanging ideas. When you're not fixated on being right, you can be truly present. Plus, letting go of the need to control every chat or situation in life feels really freeing. You can't control everything or everyone. You can't make people respond, think, or act the way you want, and that's totally fine. When you stop feeling like you have to be right, you let go of that false sense of control. You stop trying to get people to agree with you or see things from your point of view. Instead, you realize that everyone has their own opinions, and those opinions matter, even if they're different from yours. This change in how you think helps you be more understanding and kind, letting you connect with people where they're at, instead of trying to force them to see it your way. Change them to fit your perspective. That doesn't mean you should ditch your beliefs or stop standing up for what you believe in. Letting go of the need to be right doesn't mean you're being passive or letting others take advantage of you. It just means you stop wasting your emotional energy trying to prove that your way is the only way. When you let go of that need, you become more flexible, open to compromise, and better at finding common ground. You start to value relationships and understanding more than just being right. The more you practice letting go of needing to be right, the more you'll feel a sense of freedom and ease in your life. You'll start to realize that being right isn't the most important thing in every situation. The focus shifts to finding harmony, growing, and understanding each other. You'll begin to view conversations as chances to connect instead of fights to win, and you won't feel like you have to prove yourself all the time. This change can also really help your mental and emotional health, since the pressure to be right all the time can be exhausting. Every conversation feels like a big deal, and it puts a ton of pressure on you because your self-worth gets tied to how those chats go. But when you stop trying to be right all the time, that pressure lifts. You start to chill out and go with the flow of life. You stop taking things so personally and find more peace and less struggle. Plus, letting go of needing to be right helps you become more humble when you recognize that. When you realize you don't always have the answers, you open yourself up to growth and learning. The more you let go of needing to be right, the more you make space for new perspectives and insights. You start to view life not just as a series of right or wrong answers, but as a complex, nuanced experience. Growth and learning come from embracing uncertainty. By letting go of the need to be right, you also start to see yourself differently. Your worth isn't tied to being correct all the time. Your worth comes from within, not from what others think. When you realize this, you stop feeling like you have to constantly justify your beliefs or actions to feel good about yourself. This new sense of security lets you go through life with more confidence, peace, and resilience.